Okay, so it's a bit noisy out here, isn't it? Let's go and jump inside the aeroplane. It's a lot more quiet in here. So we are in the Aerosoft ToLiss Airbus A340-600 in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 this evening. We are going to be flying from, I'm going to show you the route, just zoom out. Oh my word, it's busy. From Brussels down to Munich. So I've let Navigraph choose us the route. So we'll just do as we are told along the way. We're using say intentions in the background, so we'll have air traffic services talking to us along the way. I am going to be following a procedure of my own design. I've put a link in the notes of the video for it. So it's a functional procedure that we'll follow to start the airplane up and configure it. And it purposely doesn't do a lot of the things that a real crew would do, but it takes us through the essential things to do things in a more or less correct manner. Okay, so just to show you that very briefly before we get going, if I go to Google Drive, I've got this on the second screen alongside me, and if I go to A340-600, there it is. So this is the procedure I will be following. And you can see it's got a section on setting up views and how to set the controls up in the airplane, how to do initial setup of the airplane for Navigraph, things like that. And then it goes into pre-flight. So it tells you, keyboard combinations until you get used to where things are. Obviously, then you can make your own way around the airplane. But it tells you where to look for things. So, top, middle for panels and things like that. And then what to click, what to press, what to turn, what to configure. It even goes through the MCDU. With what to do to program a flight using the Simbrief shortcut method. And you can see it goes on and on and on. It's quite in-depth. So we'll be following that. So I'll close my browser out of the way. I should have another copy of the browser here, yep, with our flight plan that we've been cleared on. So from Brussels over to Munich. Okay, so I'm going to start, without further ado, going through the flight plan with you. Or going through the startup procedures. So first things first, and the only way to get to the tablet is to pan towards it. We're going to go to the tablet and we're going to go to the ground services page, which we're already on. We're going to check the external power A and B are on, and they are, and the chocks are in place. That's all good. So then Shift and 8 is going to take us overhead. And we're going to go and put BAT 1 on. I'm going to have to pan up slightly to do this. BAT 1 on. BAT 2 on, APU BAT on, and then external power A on, and external power B on. And then external lights section down the bottom, we're going to go and make sure the strobes are on auto, and the nav logo lights, we're going to go and switch up to 2. APU section, we're going to go master switch on, and then wait for a few seconds, and then press the start button. There we go. And then oxygen, go turn the cruise supply on. And then emergency exit light goes to armed. And the no smoking sign goes to auto. So then we can press Shift and 9 to jump further overhead, and we can see the ADIRS. I think ADIRS stands for Air Data Inertial Reference Unit, doesn't it? Anyway, go and turn them all to nav. So they start aligning. It takes a few minutes in this aeroplane to align. So then back down in the cockpit, we can go and adjust the brightnesses. So the cold and dark state of this aeroplane means that things aren't very bright. So it's just a nice thing to have to go around and do. So go and do that on the co-pilot side as well with our Mr. Fantastic arms. And then in the center of the cockpit, we'll go and brighten up the engineer display screens. Okay, and what about the MCDUs as well, actually? Let's go and brighten them, both of them. Okay, so programming a flight plan with Simbrief. How do we do it? We go and look over here, and we go to the Simbrief OFP page on here. So here it is. And we should now, because we've got power to the aeroplane, be able to download the flight plan. And we'll just check the details when it comes up. It takes a few seconds. He says, famous last words. Here we go, look. Brussels to Munich. Fantastic. And then we go to the weight and balance page. Actually, before we do that, let's go and have a quick look. So we've got some options here. Yeah, I'm going to leave everything on default. So always use Simbrief wins, set payload and fuel to Simbrief, ignore the aircraft type mismatches. I shouldn't have a mismatch anyway. Okay, so we will apply the load values. We'll do the quick refuel. And then that should be good. So then go to the takeoff performance page, and we're going to need to go and look at the flight plan for this. So we're taking off runway 01 from EBBR. So we can go in here, EBBR, enter, which is Brussels. And we're taking off runway 01, which is correct. So we can press compute, and it will calculate our takeoff numbers for us. Okay, so over on the MCDU, we can press Shift and 5 to get there, and we can zoom in slightly. We can clear out any messages, and then go to the init button, and we can do an init request, which should pull the Simbrief flight plan. So it says flight plan data link in progress. So we just wait for that. We're waiting for all of it to populate, so the numbers take a few seconds longer. Hopefully. There we go. It's always a bit of a pregnant pause there, isn't there? And so it just still says in progress. That doesn't go away because it's just in the stack of messages that have gone on the display there. Okay, so then we can go next page. And we can go and check that the fuel is all there and filled in. It is, that's all good. And then we can press the flight plan button, and we can go and do the departure and arrival. So departure out of Brussels. We saw runway 01 already. Let's go and double check and see what SID we're doing. So the SOPO to X-ray departure. So scroll through. SOPO to X-ray, there it is. And insert that into the flight plan. There it goes. And then the bottom line, always on the modern MCDUs, has got the destination, so you don't have to scroll down to it. And then arrival, and let's go and have a look. So we're doing the Rocky 1 Alpha into runway 08 left. So ILS 08 left, and we're looking for Rocky 1 Alpha. And there it is. Now there is a transition, I believe it's the MIC transition, because that's the last waypoint on the route. I've already looked at that. So we'll insert that. And we can, if we wish to, go and do a... Oh, we can't yet. I was going to say we could go and do a gross flight plan check, but we can't because it hasn't aligned yet. So we'll press Shift and 5, I think it was. Yep. And we'll go to the performance data, and we'll go and fill this in. Actually, I'm going to do this from this view because we're going to be jumping backwards and forwards. So we want V1, VR, and V2 from this screen. So V1 is somewhere between these two, so we're going to go 142, 142, 157, 164. 142, 157, and 164. Then we want the flaps, and so flaps are, it'll be flaps 1, won't it? Where is it? So there's the trim. Oh, it's saying flaps 2 here. Interesting. So 2/up 3.7. Flaps 2/up 3.7, and drop that in there. And then flex to temp, we have to remember to put this is going to be in Fahrenheit, 71 F, or F71. I can never remember which way round it is. Let me just, wonder if I've written it in here. So we have to prefix, so it'll be F71. Fahrenheit 71. and drop that into there. There we go. And then we can go next phase. And climb we'll leave alone. Cruise we'll leave alone. We got the cost index in already, that's good. And obviously we won't put the approach data in until we're approaching the destination. There's no point putting it in now. Okay, that's all done. So we're going to go and calibrate the altimeters. So I'm going to press comma to shortcut doing that. And then go to the FGCP. So that's the panel up here, Flight Guidance Control Panel. So it controls the autopilot. Flight directors are already on. And we need to go and configure the modes, but we need to go and talk to Air Traffic Services first and go and get our clearance. So we'll go to ATIS first. I always forget to do this. So information mic.
Advise on course
okay,
heading.
So we go over to clearance. We are Lufthansa 073 today, by the way. Clearance, Lufthansa 073 requesting clearance to Munich as filed with information mic.
I am working on that clearance. Stand by.
So he should come through in a few moments.
Lufthansa 073, clear to Munich via the Sopok 4 Mike departure, runway 25 right. Initial climb to flight level 060, departure on 126.63, squawk 3145.
Clear to Munich via the Sopo 4 Mike departure runway 25 right. Initial climb, flight level 060, departure 126.63, squawk 3145, Lufthansa 073.
Lufthansa 073, readback correct. Contact ground on 121.88 when ready.
So we're going to go and put ourselves on radio check channel just so we don't hear anything on the radios while we're doing all of this. So squawk 3145, we'll do that first. So we're going to jump across the cockpit using the keyboard controls, clear out the code 3145.
Lufthansa flight 073, departing from Brussels Airport to Munich.
Put this onto auto.
Please take your seats according to your boarding passes and store
And
luggage in the overhead
yeah, that just flicks
or
between
under the seats in front
2
of
and
you.
1, that's fine.
If you require any
Leave that
assistance,
on. So we'll leave this on standby for the moment. We'll go to TA when we roll out to the runway when we start taxiing. Or actually no, when we get to the runway, what am I talking about? That's TCAS. Okay, so Flight Guidance Control Panel. We were given a initial altitude clearance there of 6,000 feet. That'll be part of the SID, I would imagine. We'll have a look at it in a moment. So you can see, having done that, that's good. It's interesting. Oh, of course, yes, this hasn't come up yet. We've got 1 minute to go until alignment, and then we'll be able to go managed heading mode. So you can't do that until the IRS system has aligned and calibrated itself. Okay, so we don't need to do speed either. That will be managed by the route. So on the overhead panel, shift and 8, seatbelt signs go to auto. So we're getting ready for pushback basically. And external power, we've got the APU up and running now, so the external power can come off. And then we have to go back to the tablet to go and disconnect external power from the aeroplane. So we go to the, I can never find these buttons, ground services, and we disconnect from the aeroplane. We remove the chocks as well. And then we can talk to the ground. There we go. The navigation systems come up, and you can see we've got managed mode across the board, which is fantastic. So now we've got that, we could do a gross flight plan check if we wish to. So to do that, you can flick this over to plan mode. And then when you do that and you flick through the route, I'll just go and clear that out. When you go and click through the route, you can see the route going past on the navigation display, so you can check that it all looks okay. The only bit I'm worried about is the transition through MIC, because we almost double back on ourselves but the runway may change by the time we get there. So there's top of descent. We've just seen. Or was that top of climb? Keep going. Yeah, it's going to do this odd. I wondered if it would understand it, so it's going to do a teardrop by the look of it, and then come in. So that'll be interesting to see what it does. They may give us vectors. Quite often you'll get vectors if there's no other traffic around. So pressing flight plan takes you straight back up to the top, and then you can go arc mode to put it back. We can bring the range down to 10 miles, ready for takeoff. And we can do pushback. So we need to go and talk to ground. So ground frequency 118.05. Oh no, they've got a different one. Look, ground 121. That's interesting. Oh, a GND, interesting. Okay, we'll go ground 12188. And we'll pull up the chart of the airfield as well, so we can see where we are, so we can understand what they ask us. Brussels ground, Lufthansa 073 requesting pushback and engine start.
Lufthansa 073, pushback and engine start approved, face northeast.
Pushback and engine start approved, face northeast, Lufthansa 073. So we need to face that way, so we need the tail to go to the left. So we'll try this out. Sometimes this works, sometimes it doesn't. So we want to go 60 degrees to, no, 90 degrees to the left. And how far back do we need to go? Let's have a look. We really don't. We've got loads of space behind us, so we can go no push backwards and just go immediate 90. Start auto pushback. Let's see what happens. It takes a while for it to start happening. And there's no truck that you'll see. You will see the nose start to lift to simulate the truck going underneath the nose. So I'll come off the parking brake as soon as that happens. There it goes. So off the parking brake. And we're being pushed back. So we'll be pushed back a small distance and then it will start rotating. Tail to the left. Well, that's the plan. Is it going to do it? There it goes. Tail's turning. Awesome. Whoa, look at the judder with the scenery. What's going on with that? It's obviously an issue with the pushback tool, isn't it? It doesn't like it. There's obviously it needs an update. So we'll just wait for it to finish. We're not in a major hurry. This isn't the real world. Oh, there's somebody being pushed. Yeah, look, it's got a real judder going on. And it's pushed us far too back too far, look. Interesting, so it hasn't quite worked. That's quite an amusing bug, isn't it? Should we stop it in its tracks? Can we get to it to stop it before it blows the engine? We can't. We're just going to have to wait and see what happens. Oh my word, what a bug. Everything was going so well. So what we're going to do, can we cancel this? I don't think we can. It's had a proper nightmare, hasn't it? Where is it putting us?
Echo, runway 25 right taxi via Romeo 2, Juliet inner, Echo 6, hold short of runway 19er.
I think it's just stopped.
Whiskey 4, Whiskey 41.
So what, or has it?
Runway 25 right taxi via Romeo 2, Juliet inner, Echo 6, hold short of runway 19er, then Foxtrot 5, Whiskey 4,
no, it's still trying to turn us.
1, Vueling 9er, Foxtrot, Echo.
What went wrong with that? And now it's pushing us backwards. I was trying to get us back to where we wanted to be, I think. Oh, I wonder if it's kind of a tangent maths problem where we went for too short a pushback. And it's kind of flipped the opposite side, and that's what's messed its head up. Again, these sorts of things are terrible. Yeah, it's sliding the airplane again, look. It's trying to get us to where we wanted to be and doing really badly at it. That's quite amusing, isn't it? So Aerosoft and ToLiss need to look at that. That's quite funny. We'll just let it go and let it settle down. Hopefully it will settle down soon. And it will let go of the aeroplane for us. Whoa, it's having a proper turn, isn't it? If we look down, we won't see it happening. We'll just see the lights flickering. Hopefully when it smooths out, it will think it's in the right place and it will let us go. Oh, this is such a shame. Is it going to slam us into the building? This is quite amusing. I wonder if ToLiss will see this or Aerosoft. Oh my word, it's going to hit us into the building. Oh no, we're going to miss the building. We're going back to where we came from. It's rewinding it. Are we going to hit the...
Line 5, Lima Yankee contact tower on 118.605.
I think we're about to go through the taxiway, the jet bridge. There's nothing I can do about it because I can't cancel the pushback.
118.605.
Switching to tower, Oscar, Oscar, Charlie, Tango, Mike.
I've never seen this do this before. It wasn't like we asked for anything completely unreasonable, was it? We wanted to go backwards and have the tail to the left 90 degrees. So, I wonder if there's a way we can cancel it. If I press Shift and Z, and then Shift and Z, what's that going to do? Abort pushback has appeared out of nowhere. There we go. So, that was a huge bug we just saw, but we'll put up with it and get on with the rest of our day. So we wanted to be facing
Oscar, November, Kilo, Foxtrot, contact
northeast, didn't we?
118.605.
Face northeast. So we need to turn ourselves to 90 degrees.
Tower, Oscar,
So
Oscar,
Shift
November,
Z.
Kilo, Foxtrot.
And we should be over there. So that's what pushback should have done. It obviously didn't quite get it, did it? Right. That's completely thrown me now. So we want to do, we've been cleared for engine start. So we go overhead, we put the APU bleed on, we come down here, we put the ignition system on, and we can start the engines in 2 banks of 2. We need to go and put the fuel pumps on as well. There's a lot of fuel pumps on this aeroplane. Okay, we just heard a beep. What was that all about? Nothing untoward. Okay, so engines 3 and 4 can come up. Well, you need to put the flaps to 2 while we're doing it. We need to also get on with some of the other things while we're waiting for the engines to come up. So predictive wind shear and arming the speed brakes, or ground spoilers I should say. We'll also go and put the RTO on. And we're just waiting for the engines to come up. So we've got some live stream comments. Can you give some tips on some pretty common calls from ATC when flying through VATSIM? Yeah, because you'll hear them in this flight, to be honest. You'll hear say intentions coming out with them.
Shamrock 6 Alpha Papa, runway 25 right, taxi via Romeo 4.
So we're nearly up to speed on engines 3 and 4.
Then Foxtrot 5, Whiskey 4, Whiskey 4 1.
Runway 25 right taxi via Romeo 4, enter Echo 6, hold short of runway 19er, then Foxtrot 5, Whiskey 4, Whiskey 41, Shamrock 6, Alpha Papa.
We also got a comment in the live stream. Can I do some more videos with older aircraft? Of course I can. It's about time I went back and did some DC-3s or something, isn't it?
Speedbird 387, runway 25 right taxi via inner, Echo 6, hold short of runway 19er, then Foxtrot 5, Whiskey 4, Whiskey 41.
Runway 25 right taxi via inner Echo 6, hold short of runway 19er, then Foxtrot 5, Whiskey 4, Whiskey 41, Speedbird 387.
So we should, before starting the engines, have gone up here and put the beacon light on, which we've just done. Overhead panel or fuel pumps. Yeah, we've done the fuel pumps, we did the APU bleed, we did the ignition, we started the engines, and having started the engines, we just keep an eye on this down here until it's available. Yep, engines are up and running, so the ignition system goes back to norm, and then APU bleed goes to off, and then we can turn the APU off. And then taxi light goes to, or nose light goes to taxi, and we can request taxi to, now where are we going to be taking off from? Runway 01. So we are here, we want to go to right the way down here. So I'm guessing they're going to send us
Oscar Golf Delta Delta ready to taxi. Oscar Golf Delta Delta. Runway 19.
We'll see. We'll see what they say.
Entry east, Romeo 2, Juliet, inner, Echo 6, Foxtrot 5, Whiskey 4, Whiskey 41. Runway 19 taxi via strip 5, entry east, Romeo 2, Juliet, inner, Echo 6, Foxtrot 5, Whiskey 4, Whiskey 41, Oscar Golf Delta Delta.
Ground Lufthansa 073 requesting taxi to runway 01.
Lufthansa 073, runway 25 right taxi via inner, Echo 6, hold short of runway 19er, then Foxtrot 5, Whiskey 4, Whiskey 41.
Ground negative. We have been cleared on our flight plan for runway 01.
Lufthansa 073, runway 01 is not available. Active runways are 19er and 25 right. Expect runway 25 right.
Great, that's changed since we did the flight plan. So we're going to need to reprogram, which is fine. Ground, we're going to need a new standard instrument departure if we're taking off 25 right.
Lufthansa 073, expect Sopos 3 Golf departure for runway 25 right.
Expecting the Sopos 3 Golf departure for runway 25 right, Lufthansa 073. There we go. So we're going to change the runway. So we'll remove that. Select 25 right, add to route, and select Sopos. Oh, they've got the old SID. It's 4 Golf now. They're behind the curve on the Navigraph did an update today, didn't they? it's progressed to 4 Golf. But I'll tell them the one they've just told us, it won't be so different.
Oscar Golf Mike Charlie ready to taxi.
So
Oscar Golf Mike Charlie.
They gave us Echo 6,
Romeo 2, Juliet, inner, Echo 6,
hold short runway 19, then Foxtrot 5, Whiskey 4, Whiskey 4. So let's go and have a look at that.
Taxi via strip 5, entry east, Romeo 2, Juliet, inner, Echo 6, Foxtrot 5, Whiskey 4, Whiskey 41, Oscar Golf Mike Charlie.
So we're going inner, Echo 6, hold short runway 19. There's runway 19. So inner, Echo 6. Okay, so straight, turn right, hold short, and then Whiskey 4, Whiskey 4-1. Okay, that all makes sense. So let's go and put head tracking on.
Scandinavian 594 ready to taxi.
And of course the head tracking is playing up. So I'm just going to pull the plug on it.
Runway 25 right taxi via inner, Echo 6, hold short of runway 19er, then Foxtrot 5, Whiskey 4, Whiskey 4-1.
I'm just plugged the Tobii head tracker or eye tracker back
runway
in again.
25 right taxi via inner, Echo 6, hold short of runway 19er, then Foxtrot 5, Whiskey 4, Whiskey 4-1, Scandinavian 594.
And now it's working. Good. Okay, it's all being a bit too eventful, isn't it? So, we're rolling. Were we supposed to stay on inner? I think we were, weren't we? We're almost on it already, look.
Cabin attendants, arm doors and cross-check. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard Lufthansa Flight 073, departing for MA14 Airport with an estimated flight time of 55 minutes. Please pay close attention to the upcoming safety demonstration.
That's going to be a human, isn't
as
it?
it contains important information
Oh,
even
maybe
for
not.
frequent flyers. Fasten your seat belts by inserting the metal tip into the buckle and pull the strap to tighten. The seat belt must remain fastened whenever the seat belt sign is illuminated. Return your seat backs and tray tables to the upright position and open your window blinds for takeoff. Mobile phones and electronic devices must be set to flight mode, and larger devices must be securely stowed. Smoking and the use of e-cigarettes are prohibited anywhere on board, including the lavatories.
Ready to taxi.
Oxygen masks will drop automatically.
Beeline 4 Kilo Echo, runway 19er taxi via Romeo 4, inner, Echo 6, Foxtrot 5, Whiskey 4, Whiskey 4-1.
Secure your own mask before assisting others. Life vests.
Runway 19er taxi via Romeo 4, inner, Echo 6, Foxtrot 5, Whiskey 4, Whiskey 4-1, Beeline 4 Kilo Echo.
Lighting will guide you to the nearest exit, which may be behind you. Leave all personal belongings behind in case of evacuation.
Oscar, X-ray, Oscar Alpha, runway 19er taxi via Romeo 2, Juliet, inner, Echo 6, Foxtrot 5, Whiskey 4, Whiskey 4-1.
The safety
Ground, Lufthansa 073 holding at Echo 6, requesting clearance to cross runway 19.
Lufthansa 073, cross runway 19er, then continue taxi.
Crossing 19er and then we'll continue 073.
Ground Arabia Maroc 111.
So I haven't reprogrammed my aeroplane yet. I need to go and do that. I've only reprogrammed Navigraph.
Taxi departing via Charlie 5, inner uniform.
We should have a moment while we're waiting for the guy in front.
Charlie 5, inner uniform, Arabia Maroc 111.
No co-pilot today. Well, none that we can see, but Amanda is sat next to me, so I can get her to do radio comms later in the flight if we want. Just reading the live stream comments, I'll do my best to explain what I'm doing.
Oscar X-ray, Oscar Alpha, give way to the company Beechcraft on your right.
We'll give way to the company Beechcraft, Oscar, Oscar X-ray, Oscar Alpha.
So we'll have a few moments. Is he letting him go straight through, or is he holding? Depends if there's any traffic coming in, I guess. He's holding. So we'll have some time.
Lufthansa 073, contact tower on 118.605, bye-bye.
Contacting tower 118.605, Lufthansa 073. Good day. Tower, Lufthansa 073, holding short, runway 25 right. So we need to go and reprogram the FMC.
Lufthansa 073, heavy Brussels Airport Tower, runway 25 right, wind 060 at 9er, cleared for takeoff.
I'll get this done first and then I'll respond to them. It was this SOPO 4G, wasn't it? And insert it.
Oscar Golf Delta Delta, hold short of runway 19er.
19er holding short, Oscar Golf Delta Delta.
Tower Lufthansa 073, runway 25 right, there is an aircraft on the runway.
Lufthansa 073, hold position, confirm aircraft type and position.
Aircraft type is A320 on runway 25 right, just departing.
Lufthansa 073, heavy roger, hold position, cleared for takeoff once the runway is clear.
Copy that, 073. Shall we write him up for that?
Oscar Golf Delta Delta, hold short of runway 19er.
Holding short of runway 19er, Oscar Golf Delta Delta.
He's clear. Right, we're off. So let's put rejected takeoff back on. And we'll do the takeoff config test in a moment. We'll just roll out onto the runway. Now we're going onto the runway, we're going to go and put the landing lights on and put the nose light to landing, which just means bright basically.
Oscar Golf Delta Delta, hold short of runway 19er.
So we will hold here for a moment.
19er holding short, Oscar Golf Delta Delta.
And we're going to look down in the cockpit and press the takeoff config button. And it should go green here. We're just waiting for the cabin signs. Why have they not done it? We can talk to the cabin. Cabin, are you ready?
Ladies and gentlemen, as we prepare
Arabia Maroc 132, hold short of runway 19er.
safety information. Your seatbelt
Short
must
of runway
be fastened
19er, Arabia Maroc 132.
In case of an emergency, oxygen masks will
Oh, the flaps haven't travelled.
pull the mask towards you, place it over your nose and mouth.
So the warning we just got there, I hadn't realised. I went and moved the flap lever before the engines were running, so the hydraulics weren't working. Therefore the flaps didn't travel, therefore we had a configuration. That's why it's important to do this.
Items are stowed away.
We're good now, Lee.
Thank you for your attention.
So cabin check should be okay. We don't really need to worry about that. Okay,
Beeline 7 Delta Delta, hold short of runway 7 right.
7R holding short, Beeline 7 Delta Delta.
Arabia Maroc 132, hold short of runway 19er.
Short, Arabia Maroc 132.
ooh, I've got a trim config error.
Right.
I'm going to ignore it.
9,000.
We can fly it anyway.
100 feet.
I missed that on the checklist because I wasn't following it. Oh, we've got no V-speeds. Where have they gone?
Oscar Golf Delta Delta, hold short of runway 19er.
Hold short of 19er, Oscar.
There are
Golf
bugs in
Delta
this
Delta.
aeroplane, aren't there? So gear up. We definitely confirmed the V-speeds and they vanished. Look, they're not on the...
Lufthansa Lufthansa 073, contact departure on 126.63.
We must have a discontinuity somewhere. Now we're overspeeding. I'm sorry, I'm trying to do too many things at once here. Why is that complaining at me? Contacting departure 126.63, Lufthansa 073. Why are we getting an error? And now we're not. Interesting. Departure Lufthansa 073, departing runway 25 on the Sopo 3 Golf departure. We have to tell them the wrong one, don't we?
Lufthansa 073, heavy, Brussels departure, identified. Climb
So we went through
to flight level 240.
Climbing flight level 240, Lufthansa 073. So that's interesting. So why did the V-speeds not appear? But we've got managed speed mode, which means it's working. So we're going to go open climb up to 240. So I've pulled the knob towards me, and you'll see that's just going to carry on climbing now. We need to be aware of the transition altitude in the local area.
073, contact Brussels control on 125.0.
Yeah, you can hang on for that for a moment. Aviate, navigate, communicate. So 4,500. So we're going to come through that almost immediately. So we're going to go and pull for standard now. And then we can say contacting Brussels control 125.0 Lufthansa 073. Brussels control Lufthansa 073 with you climbing to flight level 240. So
Lufthansa 073, Brussels control identified. Good morning.
Transfer's fine. TCAS can be switched on now because we've got no risk of being near anything. And we can increase the range on the route. But yeah, that's fascinating. Why didn't the V-speeds come up on the indicated airspeed ribbon? Oh, of course. Yes. The reading the live stream, it's not a bug. We changed the runway, didn't we? So the takeoff calculations are wrong. So it wiped out the performance calculations. Of course it did. It all makes sense when you think about it, doesn't it? Okay, we're coming up through 10,000 feet, so commercial aircraft turn their landing lights off when they get to 10,000 typically.
Brussels control,
So
8 Lima Juliet, flight level 350.
it's interesting, isn't it? Because doing things in the simulator
Radar contact.
on your own isn't a fair appraisal because you're doing it, like I said, on your own. In the real world, that doesn't happen.
Dear guests,
So the 250 knot limitation has gone away as we come through 10,000 as well, so we're increasing
cabin
speed.
service will begin
So we're managed speed, managed heading, so that's lateral navigation with a target of 24,000 feet, which is showing up here. We're in open climb mode. It's all looking good. You can see the navigation markers spinning around now and again. I've talked about this before. The modern airliners use 3 methods to navigate and they cross-check all of them. They've got the GPS, they've also got the radio navigation. So if you turn on the VORs over here, what it will be doing is pointing at the most obvious candidates nearby, the strongest signals. So you'll see them flick round and point at other VORs as they go. So it plays a game of triangulating the VORs, tracking the GPS, and also using the inertial reference system. So, you know, measuring where it thinks it should be based on where it was a moment ago and the direction of travel. So I always think it's quite fascinating to watch it tuning different radio beacons along the way. At the moment that they're both looking at one behind us, it's probably the whole one. probably see it flick over to point at these two at some point. It's interesting, isn't it? That runway change, yeah. Because we were doing too many things at once and I was trying to talk and answer questions and colossal failure of talent, or lack of talent, I think is the way you might put it. Let's go and have a look in Navigraph. Can we have a flight plan? There we go. So we can zoom in and see our route. It's a bit slow at drawing it, isn't it? Should put it on night mode. See the vectors, or the sectors, sorry, a little bit better. So we're in Amsterdam control until we go across, and then we go into German control. Okay. So where they gave us that late runway change, that's a real kind of issue with, say, intentions at the moment. It will change runways at the drop of a hat, which doesn't happen in the real world. Because you imagine the amount of communication that has to happen if they change runways. I'm not quite sure how they'll be able to fix that, but it's an interesting one. I've seen it happen so many times where the wind is fairly calm and they'll keep changing the runway. So we're just coming up to 24,000 feet. Should we go and request higher? Let's see if they give us higher immediately. They might notice us on the radar. Or have they already done it? No, they haven't done it yet, look. So we're talking to Brussels Control at the moment. Brussels Control, Lufthansa 073 approaching flight level 240, requesting higher. So what have we been given for cruise? 35 or 350. Did they hear us? Brussels Control, radio check, Lufthansa 073.
Roger, readability 5.
Brussels Control, Lufthansa 073 approaching flight level 240, requesting higher.
Lufthansa 073, climb flight level 350.
Yeah, they're taking us straight up to cruise name. So open climb. Climbing flight level 350, Lufthansa 073. So, yeah, talking to air traffic services, it's not difficult. You're basically stating your intentions. If it's you leading the conversation, you start with who you are and what your situation is and what your intentions are, or what your requested intentions are. If it's the other way around and they've told you something, you read it back to them and then tell them who you are to confirm. And you telling them who you are on the end is basically saying that's the end of my transmission. So you don't say over. You say who you are again. If you want a good practice at it, and you want an easy way into learning air traffic services communications in the simulator, I can't recommend enough joining MyAir in Discord. So if you go to myair-virtual.com on the internet, you'll find all of the guidance in there. They're doing a group flight tonight on Discord. I was a bit late coming along to go and join them, but they're doing a group flight with everybody flying the same route with a couple of people nominated as air traffic controllers. So you actually have a human, and if you don't know, you can ask and you won't be told off because they're super friendly and relaxed about it. Okay, so can I explain the difference between vias and transitions in a SID and a star? Let's go and find the diagram of So, say this was an airway. It probably is an airway. It's difficult to see this without having... But yeah, say this is flying along an airway. And then you've got a gap here, and then the star starts here. Yeah? In this case, the star just goes from here to here. It's a bit of a silly one. But yeah, say you're flying along this airway, and then there's a gap in the flight plan, which would be a discontinuity. So then you needing to go via... Or sorry, say there was another waypoint in between, then you would go via that waypoint to get to the star that begins at Rock Hill, for example. A transition is when, in this case, the star goes to Mick. The approach actually starts down here, I think. But there is a transition, and all the transition means is at what point from the star do we go to the beginning of the approach? Yeah. So if you've got a gap, this doesn't make sense on this diagram. But say there was nothing here, or if I'd only put the approach in without choosing the Mick transition, I think the approach would have started here. So putting the Mick transition in puts in this extra little bit. So usually what the transition means is the missing piece between the approach and the star. And it will typically be named after the last waypoint on the star. Does that make sense? So in this case it was the Mick transition. In other words, it's the beginning of the extension to your approach. Oh yeah, so we've got comments here about Maya in the live stream. They are super friendly, and if you want to go and join them tonight, you can go in and listen in and maybe chip in and say hello to them. But just don't do it during departure or approach, because that's when they're doing most of their talking. But during the cruise, which they will probably be in by now, they'll probably all be up to altitude by now, I would have thought. If you go and search for MyAir on the internet, MyAir-virtual, and go and join their Discord server, you can jump in now. They will be flying right now, and you can go and listen in. Like I said, I would have been flying with them tonight, except I was too late, so I'm doing my own thing instead. Okay, we're almost up to cruise altitude. So the airplane is doing all of this on managed mode. So it's doing it itself, basically. The wonders of Airbuses.
Lufthansa 073. Expect the Roukil 1 Bravo arrival. I'll call your descent in roughly 15 minutes.
Expecting the Rocky 1 Bravo arrival. We'll call you in about 15 minutes. 073. So we should be able to clear that message off, I think. Or not.
Dear guests, the cabin crew will now begin the snack and beverage service. We invite you to enjoy our signature pretzels and a selection of fine wines from our menu. After the service,
I think if it's not a warning, informational stuff stays there. Let's go and put the performance numbers in for the departure, for the approach, sorry. Oh, my head's all over the place today. So go to performance, go to next phase, next phase. So we want the approach data for the destination. So we're going to go to information from Munich.
Lufthansa 073, contact Langen radar on 125.6.
Contacting Langen radar 125.6, Lufthansa 073, good day. Langen radar, Lufthansa 073 with you, flight level 350.
Lufthansa 073, Langen radar identified, good morning.
So, what we're going to do is open the airport up, go to weather, and we can fill the numbers in. So we want the QNH at the destination is 1021 hectopascals. Temperature on the ground is 2 degrees centigrade, so we need to be careful about icing as well then. Magnitude of and direction of the wind, so wind is calm, so 0/0. and we've got decision altitude. Now we've got radio altimeters on board, but what we can do is go and look at the ILS chart for the runway. Oops, I didn't mean to press the button then. And you can see here, look, if you've got radio altimeter, then it's 104 feet. If you haven't, and you're using barometric pressure, you have to use 1567, which is 100 feet above the ground, basically. 104. So 104, because the obviously barometric is above sea level. 104, and that goes into. Now it's got interesting. Which one do we put it into? I'm presuming MDA. I wonder what they stand for. I've not seen that before. Anyway, next phase. That's all done. That's fine. That's good. I'm going to go and have to look that up because I'm like a dog with a bone with knowing things. I'm going to ask the wonderful Google Gemini. So what were the acronyms again? If we go to performance and go next and next, it was MDA or DH. MDA, minimum descent altitude for non-precision approaches, or decision height for ILS. Oh, I put it in the wrong one. So you can't put in both, by the way. So decision height is for radio altimeters, and the non-precision one is MDA, minimum descent altitude. And that will be above sea level. So there you go. Learn something new every day. So notice I put the number in that one and it cleared out of that one because you can't obviously have both. Okay. So if we have a look on the chart, we'll see top of descent marked in, hopefully. Famous last words. There it is, at Harem. Turn off the airport. So if we put constraints on, you'll also see that. So as we come down the descent, you'll see the numbers alongside the waypoints. If we go and look in the through the flight plan, you can see, look, here comes the constraints. To be honest, these are just calculated. If they are bigger, they are an actual constraint. So you'll see them further down the line. Oh, they've got stars, sorry, they're not bigger. It varies in different airliners and I get muddled up. So yeah, if it's got a star, you have to hit those numbers. So at roadkill we have to be 10,000 feet and 250 knots. And then at Magat 194, 161 at FI08 left, so that's the approach. And then we're almost there by then. We're at 2,700 feet, and then the ground is at 1,500 feet at the airport. So, people were talking earlier about what we do in terms of approach. Airbuses are a bit different to other aeroplanes because they pre-tune themselves. Because we've programmed the flight plan in, it knows we're landing runway 8 left, and if you remember when we programmed the approach, we chose the ILS for runway 08. So if you go and look in the nav radio page, it will have nothing. Famous last words. Interesting. Let's go back through and select it again, see what happens. Arrival. We can do this while we're in flight, it won't hurt anything. ILS 08 left, and at the moment, as far as we're aware, we are doing the Rocky 1 Alpha. and there it is. And that's what we've already got, so it's not changing anything. Therefore, there's nothing to insert. Okay? Oh, he says that. If I insert it again, that's fascinating that it did that. And then go to navigation, and it's done it this time. Okay, why didn't... Maybe because we changed the runway earlier, it wants you to do both. That may be a function of the real thing. Anyway, so you can see these are the VORs that it's tuned into at the moment, and those will keep changing during flight. Yeah, because like I said, it's pointing at... If you go and turn them on, you'll see it doing it. We want VORs showing up, don't we? So at the moment, VOR 1 is pointing at SPA, and so is VOR 2. And we can't quite see, that's it there, isn't it? And one of them has gone to a different one now, look, TAU. Which is right there. They're actually lit up. So that's what they're triangulating with to figure out where we are. But you'll see the landing system has already been pre-configured for the approach we chose. So it's got 109.5 and a course of 80. So if we go and look on here, 80 degrees, 109.5. So we don't have to actually choose anything. When we get within range of the ILS, it will automatically put the markers on the primary flight display for the localizer and the glide slope, but we can also at that point switch the mode over on the navigation display to the landing system, in which case you see an HSI with a CDI bar that will slide left and right, and obviously the glide slope alongside with the diamond in it. But we don't want to see that yet. So it's worth pointing out, I am not a professional pilot. I'm going by what I have learned along the way, and this is my second full flight with this aeroplane.
Or a small snack?
No, we're good, thank you.
Thank you, Captain. I'll be in the cabin if you need anything.
Okay, so we're getting near to 60 miles until top of descent. Let's have a look on what's a good way of seeing this? If we look over here, yeah, I think we're going to be in Langen radar all the way in until we get to approach for Munich, and then they'll hand us off. Turning the brightness down. It's super bright, wasn't it? It's interesting because the rest of the screens were really dull when we got in. We had to brighten them up, and that one was super bright. And the display up here is really bright. You can tone that down with these knobs underneath, by the way. If you see what I'm doing there, just roll that knob underneath and it changes the brightness of the displays. Doesn't make too much difference in the daytime, but at night you certainly notice it. It's interesting though, isn't it? Because I often fly completely different aeroplanes every time I get in the sim. It takes a couple of goes to get proficient at an aeroplane. It's like, yeah, coming into here after not flying it for a week. And the little things like missing that the performance calcs would have been wiped out. If you flew it day in, day out, it would be second nature to think, oh yeah, we changed runway, we need to go and redo performance. And to be honest, you would have expected it to have said that on the message at the screen, at the bottom of the screen, that performance data needed to be, or that, you know, it had lost the performance data. I'm surprised it let us do a takeoff check without the performance data, so we didn't have the numbers, the V-speeds in. That's interesting. I wonder what the takeoff check actually checks then. Or if that's something they've missed maybe, I don't know. "40 miles out from top of descent." So this is going to be interesting actually. I'll start descending a little bit early on purpose to show you something. Because in managed descent mode, it will descend at 1,000 feet per minute. Unless it's on the descent profile that it's got calculated in the numbers in the flight plan. So it's going to see that it's top of descent. So if we descend before that, it will descend at 1,000 feet a minute until it hits the descent that we were looking for. So if we look at, I can show you an illustration of what's going to happen. So if we started descending here, and it will start descending at 1,000 feet a minute until it crosses through the profile, and then it will suddenly start descending more steeply. That's pretty cool, isn't it? So with the, I've put accurate performance data in, although I haven't got exactly the right model of A340, but it's pretty much nailed where. Let's have a look on here. So after Harem, oh, it's not quite the same. Yeah, so this is the 600, which is bigger, so it probably takes a bit longer to get down. And the wind will obviously affect it as well. Although we're saying it's completely calm today, so. But if you had changeable wind during the flight, that could affect it. But yeah, the A340-600 is quite long. You can see that, look. Okay. It's 20 miles out from top of descent now. There's an aeroplane. That means he's 2,200 feet above us, by the way. Right. So I'm going to do the trick that I said. So what we'll be looking to do is get down to the first constraint on our descent, which I think, looking at this, is 10,000 feet. So we'll start descending for 10,000 a little bit before the marker. So if we go now, so I'm pushing it towards the airplane to do it in its own time. So watch the vertical speed. 1,000 feet per minute. And there's a marker here. This is the profile. So we've gone below the profile. But it will catch up with us because we'll cross into this being a steeper downhill than we are doing. So it will catch up, and when it does catch up, our descent rate will increase. And obviously the auto throttles will reduce RPM. So let's go and tell ATC that we're descending. Langen radar, Lufthansa 073, beginning descent towards the Rocky 1 Alpha arrival into Munich.
Lufthansa 073, cleared Rokill 1 Bravo into Munich. At your discretion, descend flight level 260.
Descending 260, Lufthansa 073. So they're only clearing us down to 260. So we'll just push forwards on 260. I'm too used to doing it with my air, where you just go to the nearest constraint to the airfield. So you can see at the moment we are still ahead of the profile.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have left our cruising altitude and have started our approach to MA1 foreign engine. Please return to your seats, stow your tables, fasten your seat belts, and note that the use of lavatories is no longer permitted. Thank you for your cooperation.
See, one of the other things Say Intentions can do is have the co-pilot talk to air traffic services for us. But I actually like talking to them, so it's good practice. And it's the same reason I like landing the airplane myself. Because what's the point of having the computer do everything for you? You don't learn anything, do you? There's a handy table here you can see of the flap speeds, the max speeds. So flaps 1, 280 knots, and then flaps 2, 216 knots, flaps 3, 206 knots, full flaps 200 knots. It's quite quick actually, isn't it? So you can see the profile catching up with us. So we're already descending below it, so we're kind of on a converging course. That's interesting actually that we're doing that. So we've gone below 1,000 feet a minute already.
Lufthansa 073, contact Langen radar on 125.2.
Contacting Langen radar 125.2, Lufthansa 073, good day. Langen radar, Lufthansa 073 with you, descending flight level 260.
Langen radar identified. Hallo.
Lufthansa 073, Langen radar identified.
Okay, what's going on with that? As a few people have said, Say Intentions are busy working on their systems all the time. So some days it's absolutely brilliant, and some days it can be a little bit questionable from time to time. But the progress they are making is just unbelievable, really. So we'll see what happens with the approach. If we look at the last few communications from them, they're bringing us down to flight level 260. 26 left. Interesting. We thought we were coming in runway 8 left. Using the Rocky 1 Bravo. So we need to change this then. That's interesting that they've got the old data, haven't they? Rocky 1 Bravo, add to route, okay. And select 26, wasn't it? On here, 26 left. I'm guessing we'll have to remove Meek from the... because it had the old transition, didn't it? Where's it put that in there? That's bizarre.
Ryanair 3901, Quebec, descend and maintain flight level 230. Cleared for the Copac 20 arrival into Köln.
So basically it means flying to there, doing a loop and coming back.
Copac 20 arrival into Köln, Ryanair 3901, Quebec.
And then we're going to have... That makes no sense, that route that this has got written here. Rocky 1 Bravo into 26 left. That's nonsensical. Lufthansa 073 requesting lower.
Lufthansa 073, descend at your discretion. Turn left, heading 073, approved.
What? They're giving us vectors, aren't they? Langen Radar, Lufthansa 073, just confirming, are you giving us vectors rather than flying the star?
Lufthansa 073, descend, flight level 170.
Descending flight level 170, Lufthansa 073. Again, are you giving us vectors or are we flying the star?
Lufthansa 073, affirm, vectors for sequencing. Stay on arrival. Lufthansa.
Turning left 073, Lufthansa 073. So they're putting us into a box route for whatever reason that we'll just follow what they say and see what happens.
Lufthansa 073, contact Munich radar on 136.525.
Contacting Munich radar 136.525, Lufthansa 073. Munich radar, Lufthansa 073, we have just been given vectors for 73 degrees, descending 17,000 feet.
Lufthansa 073, Munich radar, identified. Good afternoon.
He sounded quite chirpy, didn't he? We'll just follow the vectors and see what they say, or see what they do. So is there other aircraft around us that we're avoiding? Let's go and have a look. I can't see any. Separation from what? There aren't any. There's nothing showing up on TCAS either. Where are all these aeroplanes we're avoiding?
Lufthansa 073, descend flight level 140.
Descending flight level 140, Lufthansa 073. So, just to explain to people that are not maybe aware that I've gone out of managed mode, if you click the bottom half of the controls, it pulls them towards you. So the reasoning there in an Airbus, if you pull the control towards you, you are making the decisions. If you push it, if you click the top half of the controls, it pushes it towards the aeroplane, which means the aeroplane is making the decisions, which means it will follow the flight plan. If you haven't got a full flight plan without any discontinuities in it, and without the flight directors on, pushing it towards the aeroplane will achieve nothing. So by pulling it towards myself, I suddenly get to control the direction. Or pulling it towards myself, yeah, and then I can roll this around. And the same for the altitude. By pulling it towards myself, I am choosing the altitude. And by pulling it, it will do an open descent.
Direct 0, then as fired, please.
direct Zerum, then as filed, Lufthansa 073. They're putting us back onto our flight plan. They just put a bit of a curveball in there for us, haven't they? So we go direct, and we go Zerum, and we insert that into our flight plan, and we're good to go. And that's gone back to managed mode automatically, and the airplane is turning back.
Lufthansa 073. Contact Munich approach on 118.83.
Contacting Munich approach 118.83, Lufthansa 073. Munich approach, Lufthansa 073, descending flight level 140, heading direct to Zerum, then as filed on the star.
Lufthansa 073, heavy Munich approach identified, good afternoon, cleared rock, hit 26 transition, expect the ILS runway 26 left approach into Munich.
Cleared on the rock star and cleared ILS runway 26 left, Lufthansa 073. Yeah, so it is as we thought. Look, we're coming into that and doing a loop and then going round. If we bring the range down, we can see it maybe a little bit more clearly. So it's just like a teardrop.
Lufthansa 073, descend flight level 050, QNH 1020.
Descending 050, QNH 1020, Lufthansa 073. We've not come down to the transition altitude yet, so we won't do that just yet. So I think we just did a deviation from the flight plan to avoid the invisible man. Or maybe it was pieces of rocket descending from the atmosphere, through the atmosphere. Maybe the latest SpaceX came in over Germany. No, to be honest, they would announce that very differently, and Saint Engines can do that now, by the way. They can announce, you know, that areas of airspace are out of bounds now for whatever reason, and can divert air traffic around them, which I think is very clever. So we're coming down to 10,000 feet in a moment, so the airplane should level out because it needs to get to 250 knots to get below 10,000 feet. So we're going to go and turn the landing lights on. Turn them on a little bit early, but nobody's going to tell us off for that, I don't think. So you can see the constraints are showing up. They're quite difficult to see, they're a bit jumbled. But 250 knots and flight level 100, which is 10,000 feet at Rock Hill. So we're just coming down to 10,000 feet now. And I'm guessing it's going to use this time to coast to 250 knots. Funny, isn't it? We're looking at all these instruments and ignoring the wonderful countryside of Germany whistling past beneath us. Oh, here comes Lee in the live stream. So you missed that. You missed earlier, Lee. We were talking about MyAir. We've had a couple of people on the live stream that have gone and flown with them recently. And we were just vouching for them, saying how friendly they are, and a really good stepping stone to air traffic services. Because again, you can ask questions, and if you get something wrong, all you're going to get is a bit of a laugh, because everybody makes mistakes.
The current weather in Munich is a pleasant 15 degrees Celsius with no precipitation.
You'll get lots of encouragement as well, though.
Thank you for your cooperation.
So that's interesting. We've gone below 10,000 feet, but the constraint at... Oh, it's below 10,000, sorry, at Rock Hill, not 10,000. So that's okay, we can get below it. So we go through the waypoint, loop back on ourselves, and then twirl back in towards Munich. It's a bit of an interesting one, isn't it? Should we have a look at the chart for it? So, Rocky 1B. So yeah, it doesn't look like anything on here. Look, there's a hold there as well, so if it was busy, you do a right-hand hold. But we're going to essentially fly through it and then turn back. In fact, we're coming in at a different angle. Look, we're coming in from Rockhill to Mick, and then D16. So that's wrong. But that is the wrong... That's... Yeah, it's just drawing it really badly. If we look on here, it's drawing it really badly. That's still got runway 8, hasn't it? Oh, I haven't reprogrammed it, that's why. That's why it's got it drawn badly. So, arrival. Good job I caught that, really. 26 left, wasn't it? And so, come back. We want to go and reprogram this. Clear that. Go to arrival. There we go. ILS 26 left. And the Rocky 1 Bravo with the interesting. Oh, it's only got the one transition, therefore it's the only one available. Yeah, that makes sense. And then this will look completely different now, yes. And it looks much more sensible than the one looping through Mick. Which makes me wonder why this has drawn it like that. Remove. Select. Yeah, it's just making a real hash of drawing it. So it's actually going to fly down here. It's got Mick stuck in it, hasn't it, from earlier? Somewhere. I can't see it, but it's in there. This makes a lot more sense. So we're just descending in and going past and then turning back. Let's see if LittleNavMap is going to have a better chance of drawing it. So if we go and show arrival routes. So we want the Rocky 1 Bravo. Insert. 26 left, okay. And then we want ILS 26 left, don't we? With the Rock 26 transition. Insert. Yeah, look. It's still got that going out to Mick. That's really odd, isn't it? Unless that's just a piece of wreckage from previously. Yeah, it is. Although I think it thinks that's part of the SID. This. No, it's just wreckage from earlier. Not the SID, the star. I wonder if that's happened here as well then. If we look backwards. WLD. T104 Rockhill. Rockhill 1 Bravo. It thinks it's there as well as... That's really odd. So we've got vectors here, which means we only turn in when we're told to. There's a discontinuity. It will say, if you look through this, look, it says manual, and then there's a discontinuity, and then nil B. So if you look at this, there's nil B. So we fly along here until we are told to turn. We're at 5,000 feet, so that's the transition altitude, isn't it? So let's go and double check what the QNH was. Open airport, weather 1021. Okay, we're getting there. So we need to be ready to go to heading mode and to turn right when we're giving instruction, and then we'll obviously switch over to landing system as well. They may allow us to descend, they're just saying 5,000 feet at Nilby, so that's fine. So what's the airfield elevation of Munich? Let's go check. (1,400 feet). I bet this thing looks like a monster from outside at this height. Are we alongside the airport yet? No, not quite. It's over there somewhere. There it is. Look at the wings waggling. Of course, that's how it flies, isn't it? Okay, carry on in a straight line and then turn when we're told to. So we'll just pull this heading control towards ourselves to make the turn for Nilby as we are told to, and then we'll go landing system on when we're fairly near the being lined up. So the speeds should all be programmed once we get past there, because we could just go direct. That's another way of doing it. We don't have to go manual to turn. We could just say go direct Nilby and the aeroplane will make the turn itself. And yeah, you can see, look, it wants to be doing 188 knots when it gets there. In which case we'll start bringing the flaps in. And we just follow the speeds.
47 Victor. Climbing through 3,200.
Lufthansa 47 Victor, heavy, Munich departure identified, climb flight level 0, 0, direct Delta Mike 060.
If I didn't know better, I'd say we're going to be landing with a massive tailwind, which would have made the runway we were originally on the better option.
060 Lufthansa 47 Victor.
Oh, I wonder, we're not flying this in real time.
Victor, climb flight level 220.
In the real world, it's evening.
Lufthansa 47 Victor.
And I'm pretty sure Say Intentions doesn't know what time we've got set in the simulator, so the weather we're seeing is wrong. Let's go fix it, shall we? If we go live weather, and the wind it's still the wrong way, but it's only a few knots now.
129.1 Delta Quebec Golf Romeo Lima.
Okay, let's go and bring the brightness down a bit, shall we? I've got to remember how to do this now.
Lufthansa 47 Victor, contact Munich radar on 136.23.
There we go.
126.23 for Lufthansa 47 Victor, bye-bye.
Just turning the brightness down a bit. We could put the dome lights on. They're going to be super bright though. Yeah. Does look good at night, doesn't it? But we at least get the wind now that Say Intentions is using, which is still the wrong way, but come on, they're going to let us turn into LB soon. Nelby even. So I'm going to turn head tracking off because we want to be fairly accurate about doing all of this when we start doing it. Just looking at the screen, I am going to go and turn the dome lights on because you need to be able to see what I'm doing.
For Delta Kilo Hotel Juliet Lima.
So we should get vectors in a moment for Nelby. Or instruction to go direct Nelby. Oh, I think you're going to take us all the way out to DM429. That's interesting. Should we go and be cheeky and say any chance of going direct Nelby and go straight in? Munich approach, Lufthansa 073. Any chance of going direct to Nelby to go straight in?
Lufthansa 073, heavy cleared for the ILS runway 26 left approach via rocket 26. Lufthansa 073, direct Nelby approved. Expect ILS runway 26 left via Rokill 1 Bravo.
Direct Nelby approved, Lufthansa 073. Well, being cheeky paid off. There we go, and the airplane's now flying itself around the corner. So we need to get the speed down now. So we may have to help it do that, because we're going to be quite compressed in trying to get it to do things quickly here. So notice there's no speeds on the chart, anything below 250 basically at this point, so let's go and help it. So remember, once we get to, we can go flaps 1 already. Well, we can at, we definitely can at flap 2, at 233 knots, which we're about to go through now. So flaps 1. And that will give us drag, which will help us slow down without using the spoilers. Here comes the runway. So we keep our head up, we can see it coming. And let's go down to 180 knots.
Delta Sierra Yankee November, Echo contact Munich radar on 129.45.
Now, have we still got runway? If we go and check the nav radio, have we got
129.45
yeah,
for Delta Sierra
108.3, 259 degrees. So it's got the frequency already. And you should be able to see that if we went to landing system already. Let's go and increase the range slightly on the...
Contact Munich Tower on 118.705 when established.
Contacting Munich Tower 118.705, Lufthansa 073. And if we put this on landing system, there we go, we can see it. Look, there's the descent marker. Tower, Lufthansa 073, engaged on localizer, runway 26 left.
Lufthansa 073, heavy Munich Tower, servos identified.
So let's bring the speed down even further now and get the gear down. This is all good, isn't it? So we'll get the nose light on as well. Just going to get comfy in my chair. So notice I'm giving ourselves a little bit of leeway over the speed. We've gone high because we haven't told it to descend. So I'm coming off the autopilot.
Winds 360 at 11. Runway 26 left, cleared to land.
Clear to land, runway 26 left, Lufthansa 073. So you can see we've gone a bit high, so I'm going to throw the spoilers out. Gone a bit behind the aeroplane here, so we're just going to bring ourselves down. See, even with spoilers, it's not liking it. So, extending the flaps.
2,500.
So what we're doing is chasing the glide slope back down because we weren't paying attention, or I wasn't paying attention. We're not hurrying about it, we've got plenty of time. Here it comes. Here comes the glide slope. So remove the spoilers, start gently lifting the nose, and just keeping an eye on the runway and the speed. We've obviously got auto throttle, so it's fairly straightforward. Hands on the throttles now, ready to pull them back as soon as we get over the runway. So we're still a bit high. If you watch the puppy lights, you'll see them start lighting up red. There goes one red and two reds, and then that should align with the glide slope, and it does. So just gently follow the instruments and what we see out the window. Keep an eye on the instruments, doing scanning round in circles basically. Gear is down, flaps are down. I have done that, by the way, in the past, landed with the gear up. Usually while talking to somebody.
200. 100 above. Minimum 50, 40, 30, 20, retard, 10, 5.
And reverses. And reverses off. Wheel brakes. Put the spoilers back away. And get off the runway.
Lufthansa 073, exit at Bravo 11 if able. Contact ground on 121.83.
Munich is home to the famous Oktoberfest.
Contacting ground 121.83, Lufthansa 073.
Seated until we reach our final parking position.
So let's go and find out where we are.
Thank you for flying with Lufthansa. Lufthansa. The local time is 10:39 p.m. For those with connections, please note the following.
Delta Golf,
Flight
Golf,
LH
Zulu Romeo.
400
Give way to the
what are we doing?
Lufthansa A320 on your left.
From gate 21 and flight LH.
Give way to the Lufthansa A320. Delta Golf, Golf, Zulu Romeo.
So the landing lights can come back off. The taxi lights can go to on. The beacon light stays on. Strobes come off. Now we're off the runway. Although we've got to, yeah, we're off the runways now. So, and then we call ground. Munich ground. Lufthansa 073 requesting taxi to the gates.
Lufthansa 073, taxi to Terminal 2, Gate 24. A via Bravo 6, Sierra, Sierra 7, Whiskey 2. Good day.
Taxi via Bravo 6, Sierra, Sierra 7, and Whiskey 2. Lufthansa 073, thank you. Whiskey 2, where was Whiskey 2 then? Oh, it's here. Okay, so we've got a little way to go. I'll answer the questions in the live stream in a moment. I'll just get us rolling. So we need to go across this slot to get to Sierra. It's quite difficult to see in the dark, isn't it? Sierra is the second right. Okay. And then we go a long way along here till we get to Sierra 7. Okay, keep an eye out for that. Okay, so we can have a look at some live stream comments while we're doing it. What do I think of 2024? I didn't buy it, and it's on offer at the moment. It's fantastic. It got a lot of bad press, which wasn't entirely unwarranted, but as long as you've got the hardware for it, and if you've got an Xbox, you're going to be fine. If you've got the hardware for it, yeah, 2024 is fantastic. And it solves lots of problems that 2020 had. All that stuttering on approach, all of that horizon showing through hills. But what I would say is you do need a very good internet connection to make the most of it. So if you've got fibre, you're laughing.
November, ready to taxi.
Delta November, Delta Juliet November. Runway 26 left taxi, via Kilo 1, E3 Orange, D3 Orange, Echo 2, Sierra 8, Sierra, Bravo, Bravo 14.
Runway 26 left taxi via Kilo 1, E3 Orange, D3 Orange, Echo 2, Sierra 8, Sierra Bravo, Bravo 14, Delta November, Delta Juliet November.
So, WASM crashes with the PMDG. There's been an update, hasn't there, to the PMDG 737 in the last few days to do with the crashes. To be honest, I've not seen any of these WASM crashes that people talk about. Have you tried clearing out everything else? Sure it's not something else that's causing it, or a display driver, or something like that, I don't know. But I've never seen one. Whether it's just because I've got a bit of headroom on the graphics, you know, the RAM on my graphics card, I don't know. So this is S7 coming up, isn't it, on the left here? Or Sierra 7, I should say. So Whiskey 2 is on the left. Obviously this is the Lufthansa hangars. Or gates, I should say.
Alpha ready to taxi to the active areas for VFR pattern.
Whoa! This has a lot of momentum when it starts
November,
turning.
Whiskey Sierra. Alpha taxi to runway 26 left at your discretion.
Taxi to runway 26 left, Delta November, Whiskey Sierra Alpha.
you know that just reading the live stream comments, you do know about being able to clear out the WASM caches, don't you? Whiskey 2 is here, so I'm going to pull in between these guys, I guess. We're going to be far too close to him. I'm going to make my own space. Let's just check, because we are enormous, look. So yeah, we'll clip wings if we go on the lines. That's going to be close, isn't it? Yeah, so I'm just going to quickly show you this. If you look in here, I've got a shortcut to it in my links. So, local packages, limitless, local state, WASM. I think you can just go into the 2024 folder and delete everything. Yeah? And it will rebuild itself. So obviously do that while the sim's not running. But you can empty the WASM folder, so it may be that you just got corrupt old data in the WASM folder. I know AnyBuilds went through hell and back with some of their airplanes with the WASM crashes. And whenever you updated the airplane, it instructed you to go and clear out that folder. Anyway, let's go and get this airplane shut down. So I'm going to go and connect the ground power. So ground services, external power connected, chocks on. And then overhead we can go and connect the external power, and then we can shut the engines down. We ought to turn the taxi light off as well. We're busy blinding the ground crew.
Delta Kilo Mike India Victor ready to taxi.
Beacon light off because the engines are off now.
Delta Kilo Mike India Victor, runway 26 left taxi, via Romeo,
Go and turn the pumps
Sierra,
off.
Bravo, Bravo 14.
Runway 26 left taxi via Romeo, Sierra 4, Sierra, Bravo, Bravo 14, Delta Kilo Mike India Victor.
Delta Golf Alpha Whiskey Victor ready to taxi.
Delta Golf Alpha Whiskey Victor, runway 26 left taxi, via
Okay,
Romeo, Sierra 4,
go and turn
Sierra,
off the
Bravo 14.
initial reference system.
Runway 26 left taxi via Romeo, Sierra 4, Sierra, Bravo,
Nav lights can
Bravo
go
14,
off.
Delta Golf Alpha Whiskey Victor.
We're pretty much there, so obviously the external, so the emergency light system can go off, and we'll let people get out of their seats now. I do wish they'd have a sound sample when you switch that off and you hear mayhem behind you. You know, all the idiots that race to be first at the baggage carousel. Okay, we're ready to go for another flight. Except we're not going to do one because it's late here already. It's nearly 10 o'clock in the evening, so I'm going to sign off for the evening, and if you've been following along, thank you very much for following along. Yes, it was Say Intentions was providing the air traffic services and the aircraft injection. So all of the airplanes you see near me at Munich are being injected by Say Intentions. So if we go and jump in the air, you'll see there's more at the other gates as well around the place. There's some more over there, look. And there's aeroplanes. You can see the nav lights blinking away in the sky around the airport. On approach, there's someone coming in now, look. So if we carefully do this, we can see them coming in, look. So that's all the work of Say Intentions, all the parked aircraft, you can see everything. So the voices you hear on the radio correlate with the aeroplanes you can see in the sky. And on the taxiways, obviously, and yeah. They've all got pretend artificially intelligent crews. Should we see how well his landing goes? Oh, we can't see the ground though, can we? We might see him like the ground up. Here he comes. So the runway's over here somewhere. Should we cheat? And wind the time back?
Delta November. Delta Juliet November.
There we go.
Contact tower on 118.705.
Switching to tower, Delta November, Delta Juliet November.
There's the runway. Oh dear. I think he's left some black marks on the runway there.
Pushback approved.
I mean, I've heard of trying to get off at the first exit, but that was madness. Yeah, he has realised that's the wrong way. He'll be coming off there, won't he? Anyway, enough fun and games. Thank you very much for following along, and I'll see you all again soon. Take care.